We've got Football in Focus teed up indoors on Battleground Avenue, home of Davis Troxler, the great golfing man. We've got a good football show going tonight. Got Brian Tomlin with us, and it's Judge Brian Tomlin. He's a judge right now, good man, and he's got a lot of background because he was not always a judge. One time he was an attorney. Before that he was like a sports writer. Before that he was a college football player. Before that a high school football player. And he's done all those and more. And I'll go back to high school, Heritage High School,
yes,
Lynchburg, Virginia, just outside Lynchburg.
Right. Oh, in Lynchburg.
Yeah, just on the edge, kind of edge of town. So we got 460, right? 460 out that way?
Yes.
Yeah, and going almost not too far from Brookville, not too far from the Brookville Bees. You guys almost in the Bees' backyard. Was your first coach there at Heritage? Was it Jimmy Green back in the day?
Yeah, I played for a season at EC Glass.
So you played for the last 1 year.
Yeah, we made the state semifinals, had some great players, Mickey Fitzgerald,
John Fitzgerald, Scott Dovell, all those guys back in the day?
Ricky Volley played at Ohio State.
Right.
He was on that team.
Yeah.
And then the city annexed parts of the surrounding counties, and we got a lot of Brookville's territory and some good athletes too. And so it was Heritage after that.
You know, thinking about Brookville, in recent years, this kid Logan Thomas in the NFL came out of Brookville. He went to Virginia Tech, played quarterback there, then came to the NFL, played tight end. So a lot of talent around that area.
Yes,
and
it's good football country.
You were Virginia. Also, think about Virginia, got a little further down the highway, go back down 29, headed back south. You go to Danville, you had Herman Moore out of Danville, Virginia.
Yes.
Wide receiver.
Buddy Curry.
Oh, Buddy Curry would kill people. Man, that guy was a great linebacker. Man, I'd love to. I would pay it. You know, another guy, these names, another name I think people should say a salute to, or maybe almost follow this guy close. You got Virginia before you got there. This guy was one of my favorite running backs ever.
Bill Dudley.
As well. I'm talking about this guy, Tommy Vigorito.
Yeah, from Jersey.
Yeah, I just like that running back, Tommy Vigorito. I mean, this kind of pushes you through the line there.
It's hard to believe when you see Virginia football at that time, but Tommy and Greg Taylor, who was from Highland Springs, other side of Richmond, I think both got over 1,000 yards rushing the year before I got there.
Who was coaching then? Dick Bestwick. Dick Bestwick, and then later on it was George Welsh.
Yes.
Did you have George Welsh as your coach at all?
For a year.
You had a very good coach.
Yes.
Outstanding coach. I mean, it
was a difficult transition.
Oh, a lot of discipline.
Especially for some of the older guys. We had a loose operation.
Yeah.
Before that.
Dick Bestwick ran some heavy offense, like maybe a loose operation, like you say. But you played offensive line there.
Came in as a defensive lineman and later 2 years there. Got redshirted and then switched to offensive line.
You had success doing that. And going back to Lynchburg, do you remember Texas Inn Chili? You ever go to there? About that thing, the old Texas Inn Chili?
I don't go there anymore because I don't get to Lynchburg that much.
Yeah, but back in the day.
But I will make a cheesy Western with double relish at home.
Right. You got to love that Texas Inn Chili. Did you ever visit the Steer House before they shut down back in the old days? Out on 460, that steak place, the Steer House?
Yes. A friend of mine's family used to take me there.
That was great. The Steer House, I mean, when I was in college at Liberty University, actually it was a little LBC back in the day, had to go to the Steer House. It's like going to, going to Grandma's house, but even better. Used to love that Steer House.
There was a, I can't remember the name of the other place. Steakhouses were big.
Oh, big time, yeah, big time back in the day. And Dr. Falwell, who was our leader there, he used to have all those proper places picked out to go to back in the day.
We were members of Thomas Road Baptist.
Yeah.
I would, when it was Lynchburg Baptist College.
That's right.
I don't think the colors were even red and blue then. I think it was green.
Green and white, yeah.
In order to, we were allowed to play basketball all night at the gym at what was then LCA
Bulldogs.
We would help set up chairs at the end of the night. So I'd go over there on Saturday night and play basketball for hours.
And your aunt, because I told you about this before, you said Evelyn Tomlin. Jerry Fong was a big leader at that college, but to me, she was actually some ways bigger than he was in far as the university administration, because she was like the registrar. And when you worked with her, man, you were working with the business. She did the job.
She passed
recently. I heard about that, yeah.
After having been sick for quite some time.
Yeah, but she was a great woman. I remember.
Her children, we were all cousins and played All the time. All the time we were kids.
And the funny thing always was, I always thought back in the day when her sons actually played for LCA, I think maybe some football for the Bulldogs. I always thought it was you and your brother. I thought that was the two Tomlins.
They had the wrong Tomlin.
Yeah, but I always heard about this Tomlin. Well, gosh, there was a Tomlin to Virginia out of LCA. That's a pretty good jump there. But, back in that day, it would be a huge jump. But you guys got the job done back in the day, back in Lynchburg, Virginia. Now, you came to Greensboro. How did you end up in Greensboro? I know you became a sports writer at the News and Record, but how did you end up here?
It didn't work that way. I moved down to Lynchburg. I got engaged to a woman down there, and my first job writing was with the Lynchburg Exchange, and left there after 2-3 years. Came up here to go to graduate school. Started stringing for the News and Record, and from there they got me a job when I finished grad school in Carroll County, Maryland, Westminster, Maryland, right outside of Baltimore.
Right.
And then I came back down here and took the prep job, 1990 maybe.
Who was doing the prep job, the high school job before you took it?
Charlie Atkinson.
Charlie Atkinson. He was a long time News and Record.
We are friends that go way, way back.
Man, he was a good baseball man back in the day.
He knew his baseball. He loved those damn Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, he used to follow the local team, the Greensboro Hornets, and those guys too back in the day.
He did that thing that I've heard of kids doing, take a summer and go to every ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
Every ballpark.
That's the trip.
And see one game.
Trip. Well, your job back in the day of the News and Record, how long did you stay with those guys?
5 years.
5 years.
6.
Yeah.
Couple or 3 years at the Lynchburg Exchange, couple or 3 years at the Carroll County Times in Maryland, and then I got out.
The newspaper in big impact for you, though, because I read a while back, I'm doing all this online reading, found that story on Facebook. You contributed to a story about the News and Record building being demolished, and you had written some information. That was pretty good stuff you guys wrote. You wrote some stuff, Jerry Rowe wrote some stuff, some other people wrote some stuff.
And I wasn't even there that long. I worked 5 years full-time, a couple of years part-time.
Major impact on you.
It was real newspaper, and we took a great deal of pride in it. And guys like Jerry, who went on and worked his entire career there, and the feelings about the industry itself and seeing the change in it, and for a lot of our purposes now it doesn't really exist anymore.
Right. The big thing back in the day was always had to have that Sunday paper. Man, that thing was huge. And those football stories, you'd have about 16, 20 pages of sports in that Sunday paper. And you'd have guys like Bill Hass going to cover maybe Wake Forest. You'd have a guy like Larry Keach going to cover Carolina. He liked the Carolina man. Had somebody going to cover Duke. You covered all the ACC schools.
We had somebody who was assigned to every ACC school.
Yeah.
I got to cover, in fact, I was a stringer at the time, but it was, I think, the Tim Duncan's senior year at Wake.
Wow.
I probably went to 12 Wake Forest games, got to interview Tim and watch real, greatness
big time,
in front of you. Wow. But all that was beginning to change then. Mm-hmm. It was beginning to change then.
And so you left out of the News and Record. Were you already going to take some college courses to become an attorney at that time?
I was going part-time, and I did that for a year, and it wore me out. It really did.
Yeah.
I'd switched over to news writing by then. And did a year driving back and forth to Durham, and
Central.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, I had a child by then. She was 3 years old. I didn't think I'd even know what she looked like if I kept working full time. So I switched from the night program to the day program.
Would have been good back in that
day
if the online would have been around back there. You could have done some of that stuff online possibly.
Yeah.
Would have been nice.
Yeah, that would have saved. And the internet was just coming to be. I remember professors writing internet addresses on the board, and it seemed like it was about 47 characters to get to one site.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were all excited about it, and we were all like, well, we didn't even really know what it was.
That's almost like the journalism people too, and the radio station people back in the day. That internet stuff was coming out, and the younger kids who are on it say, "Oh, I got the scores online." Well, we still got the teletype back in the back. We're still on up that AP wire, still trying to make sure our wire didn't come off the machine.
I would cover high school basketball games and have to send my story in remotely from a payphone.
From a payphone?
Yes, from a payphone, and I would be standing on one leg and holding up my, I can't remember who made those cursed computers. Radio Shack made them. It was a Tandy something.
Yeah.
And it had two pieces, keyboard, and a little thing with two receptacles for the speaker and the microphone of the phone, and you'd put that there and hold your computer here and dial the right 1-800 number and hit some buttons and wait for it to send the story. It took 6 or 7 minutes, and I'm standing there freezing my ass off
bet so in
a payphone in Ashboro.
Wow. And popping the quarters in the old phone.
It was a blast. It really. No, it was 800 number. I do
that's
remember
right.
that.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. You had some help there. And even back in the day, I remember they had those phones. Somebody would unscrew the top, bottom part of the phone and hook something up to the phone and could send it down that way too. Back in the day.
I don't remember doing it that way, but it probably worked better.
Crazy stuff. So you came a long way, and then you go to Central. Did you graduate from Central Law School?
Yes.
That's where you finished up at then.
Yeah.
And then went right into becoming an attorney. Maybe 3 or 4 years after that.
No, I started practicing law right away.
It took about 3 or 4 years to get the degree, though. Or,
3.
3 years.
Yeah.
Then went right into practicing law.
Yeah, I opened up my own shop at 1600 Battleground.
Wow.
And I went solo for a couple of years.
Hung out the shingle at 16.
I did. I made $13,000 the first year.
As an attorney.
Yes.
$13,000. That's something
Yes.
to think about. What year was that? 1992.
96.
96. 13. That says a lot for the way things. You're sticking to the charge too, staying with it. I mean,
I hung in there. I had to.
You had to. Good gosh. And then in between time, you were actually. Where I first met you was at the basketball court at Forest Valley because you got the gym.
I'm remembering you now.
Remember Jan Pritchett?
You had that set shot almost.
Yes, that's right. The set shot.
remember.
Yeah. Because Jan Pritchett, Kenny Free, all those guys, you would come down there on Sundays.
I still see Jan as an outstanding attorney. Kenny's no longer practicing law.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember who else played out there, but it was a blast.
Yeah.
Were they 8-foot goals?
No, we're still probably might have been, but they got the 10-foot goals there. And I'm still there on Sundays, still going down every Sunday now, still hanging in there. Yeah. Was down
I
this
quit
past Sunday.
playing. I'm 64 now. I played my last basketball when I was 44.
44, yeah.
I was at the Y, and it was my last ankle sprain. I just decided.
Well, if you were putting up
Not gonna do it
chairs
anymore.
at LCA back in the day, you loved basketball. You play all night just to get it and put those chairs up afterwards. You were sticking with it big time back then. You loved that basketball.
I did love basketball.
You probably like basketball better than football, maybe in some ways.
As a matter of fact, yeah, but I was better at
at
football.
football,
My
yeah.
body was better suited
Better
for
for it,
football.
yeah.
I could dunk a volleyball when I was 15, but
Wow.
that
That was enjoyable back then.
was it.
If you had to jump today, you'd probably be happy to touch the net, probably. And that's the way it is with me these days. I gave up on the jumping stuff. Just shoot that outside shot.
I had a jump hook I could shoot with either hand.
That's good.
So that's as close as I came to being a scoring threat. I was good at setting picks and making passes.
Setting picks is a lost art. You got to be able to do that. You got to be able to set those picks. So then, at that same court you used to come to, back with Jan and those guys, another current judge was also a charter member of that court.
Who was it?
Stuart Albright.
Stuart played?
Yeah, played against Stuart when he was in high school. He was a big, thick center for Duke University football, and he was an outdoor
I knew
basketball
that.
player. Yeah.
He played at Duke when my brother was at Virginia.
Right.
So they played against each other. And Stuart and I, whenever I pass him at the courthouse, we invariably stop and talk ball for a minute.
Oh, yeah. He's a very good basketball player.
No, we talk football.
Yeah, football too, yeah. What about this deal? So we got to get to it because it's on the burner right now. This name, image, and likeness thing for high school players. I was thinking about you, maybe back at Heritage back in the day. So I don't know if you ever heard of Village Motors at Lynchburg back in the day. Village Motors sold the
I think I
Volvos and the
remember
Hondas.
that.
Let's say Village Motors. My man that worked there, his name was Billy Kraft. Billy Kraft calls Brian Tomlin. Hey, Brian, can you come over Saturday, sign a few autographs, give you $200? What about something like that? It's going on today, and now it's legal in some places. In high school.
I would have probably thought it was a prank call.
Yeah.
I worked on Saturdays at Kenny's Chicken Restaurant.
Kenny's Chicken Restaurant.
We called it the Kenny Burger.
The Kenny Burger.
It was the best chicken in town, but that was
It wasn't on Lakeside Drive, was it?
No, it was over by Miller Park. There might have been another one on Lakeside Drive. I'm not sure.
Near the shopping center. What was that shopping center called? Man, that shopping center was the biggest shopping center. People would drive in that shopping center on Friday nights, just drive around the
Pittman
center.
Plaza.
Yeah, you got it. Pittman Plaza, breaking it down, my man.
The Plaza.
Boy, and they had the theater there, and then people would drive around that all Friday night.
And
just in a circle.
the Sears became a library.
Yeah, they did.
And it was right beside EC Glass.
Yep, right beside it. EC Glass back in the day, people never would have seen it. Maybe still look the same, I don't know. May still be the same on this very day, but they had that big front lawn. You could almost play a football game in their front lawn.
It was a wonderful, classic high school. And a lot of towns and counties back then had the one school.
Right, exactly.
And the football history was really, really good.
I remember one guy when I was tracking football back in the old days, this guy named George Roberts, the Miami Dolphins, their punter, came out of EC Glass. He was probably one of the more notable guys. And you mentioned the Bill Dudley gentleman earlier. He was a big-time player, too.
Jimmy Green played there.
Jimmy Green played there also?
Ended up playing. He played at William and Mary.
I think Bill Chambers' father may have played at EC Glass. He played somewhere in Virginia. Bill Chambers, who taught here in town, was a coach here in town. His dad was like the all-time NCAA rebounder back in college days. He played William and Mary. But
interesting.
But back, if you would have thought that was a prank that guy called you about the name, image, and likeness money, what about what's going on today? You see some of it, you hear about it these days, and kids.
I read it, and it was big news at first, and now it seems to have cooled off a little bit. I think it's why Coach Saban went ahead and retired.
Yeah.
They're trying to find kids that are a good fit for the program, and the mothers, rather than wanting to know what majors they have, wanted to know how much NIL they were going to get. I mean, money breeds greed.
The weird thing is, it's legal on the private school level now in North Carolina. You actually, the private school level, the kid from Reedsville, Kendra Harrison, transferred from Reedsville to down to Charlotte Providence Day High School, independent school, just for a chance to get some of that NIL money. You want to get that money. And now you've got people here that are suing the state to try to get it on the public school level. So how does this stuff go, you think, in the end?
The theory that is behind it all, I think, and we thought about it. You heard the story about there was a kid who played basketball for Georgetown, and this is the heart of the players should get paid argument. He's walking through Georgetown, and he's counting the change in his pocket. He's got 47 cents, and it's not enough to buy a fish sandwich at McDonald's, which is what he wants. And he walks by a sporting goods store, and he saw his jersey in the display window. It was $45, and that's when he decided that he was going to go ahead and go to the NFL early.
Had his name on it, $45
Yes.
for selling it. Yeah.
Damn, I used to remember his name, but I can't now. When you play college football, you have to accept that you are entertainment for alumni coming back, and it generates goodwill for the school, and they donate. And in exchange for that, they give you tuition, room, board, books, and fees.
Scholarship, yeah.
And it's not a fair exchange.
Right.
But it's still a hell of an experience, and so I never really thought to complain. But somebody eventually has figured out the players deserve part of the. I think it's when college football really became a moneymaker, the way that it is now. It was going to happen in college. That it should come to high school too. I don't know.
It's kind of similar to high school. It's kind of like the last level of play where things were still considered pure amateurism. Almost seems like professionalism when you start getting money for your name, image, and likeness as a high school player. Almost like you're a pro player. You'd almost lose your amateur status in some ways, you would think.
Yeah. It's always. Remember Jim Thorpe? Didn't he get in trouble because he played semi-pro baseball for a summer and got paid? It's always been hard to separate money from the sport at whatever level it might be at.
You think about a guy, though, like a school having a guy's name on the back of a jersey and them selling that jersey in a store. I could see it if you got the school's name on a jersey, like UNC on the front and the back, and sell those, but putting the kid's name on, that's a little bit different story, too, sometimes. You got his number and his name on that same jersey. It's kind of utilized.
Maybe he should get part of that.
Something, yeah. You think about the NCAA, how much money those guys are taking in, or taking in, and not a lot of it goes back to the schools, I don't think.
Yeah.
Some does, but not a lot.
I think the schools are doing okay.
Yeah, schools aren't doing bad. They're not doing bad. But it's interesting how it's gotten down to the high school level now, how crazy it is down here.
I was a little... The beginnings of me being stunned by the modern developments, I think, are when I heard of high school programs having spring practice.
Oh, yeah, spring football practice.
For football.
Right.
And I thought it was torturous when I was in college.
It's tough enough, yeah.
And when I heard that they were having it for spring, and I don't know. I never liked the idea of having to play it year-round. And
Yeah, because I always liked the day when you played. Everything was seasonal. Football season, that's where you play
Sure.
basketball, and basketball you play something.
I don't even know that there are three-sport athletes anymore.
Not many. They're not. They're hard to
Football,
find.
football, basketball, and baseball.
Hard
The
to find those
traditional
guys.
three-sport.
The traditional three-sport.
I've known some pretty good athletes that wrestled,
Yeah.
played soccer, and maybe something else. But no, I don't know what to think, and I'm not saying that amateurism and high school sports and everything is going to hell in a handbasket because of this. I think it was going to happen,
Yeah, eventually.
and how it plays out and whether I'm gambling,
Yeah.
legalized gambling. Did we not get enough of a lesson on that before?
See, one thing, when that hit here in this state, the legalized gambling advertising, boy, and the gambling in this state hit like about last May or whenever.
Right.
It was a huge input when it hit here. And believe it or not, from what I understand, I haven't seen the actual paperwork, but
Was it fizzled out?
I've told people, I've got it from reliable sources. There's actually sheets you can pick up these days on high school ball games, high school football here in town. You get the right location, you can get a sheet and gamble on high school football games for Friday nights. It's gotten that big. And plus, the thing about the NIL too, about the image and likeness, a lot of the money they're wanting to get is off, say, like a high school kid's trading cards. A high school kid trading card almost seems like taking a picture of a kid and just trading photographs. You know, it's crazy. High school football players trading cards.
We used to put 15,000 people in the stands, for a game in Lynchburg, Virginia.
City Stadium.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
15,000 people.
15,000.
UVA usually had smaller crowds and less enthusiastic
Right.
crowds than the ones I'd seen in Lynchburg. And so
Friday nights at that City Stadium in Lynchburg, man, those were reverend type nights.
it was a magical place to grow up and play football at. I'll
It's a
say
nice
that.
place. I like that city. It's kind of dark, kind of going in one section of that stadium, kind of a dark area there, and then you get to the lighted stadium down in the field. Just
I grew up going to games there. They had Carolina League baseball.
oh yeah.
Sort of how I became a Red Sox fan.
Right.
Because Yaz had played for the Salem Red Sox.
Right. Exactly.
And then I think the year after the miracle in 1967, I played my first year of Little League, and I played for the Red Sox. So.
Wow, felt good. You know, back in the day at Lynchburg City Stadium in the summer, like you mentioned, baseball games, I would be at Liberty Baptist College at the time, LBC, and then we'd go into summer school, get you some extra class, and get a little ahead in your schedule of your college, go to the City Stadium for a baseball game, like you say. Used to be the Lynchburg Mets. We got
Yes.
the Lynchburg Mets. They won the title in '78, the College League
They
title.
had Dwight Gooden,
Those guys.
Daryl Strawberry, and Lenny Dykstra on the same single A team.
Unreal.
Unbelievable.
I was watching this. They had like Jeff Reardon. They had, let's see, Ron Gardenhire, Wally Bachman. He was
Right.
on there. Had that bunch, and they won the title. They had a guy named Ronald McDonald playing second base. Had
I
Paco
remember that.
Perez. It was just a fun team to watch.
When I was a kid, I'd go, I think it was the Twins.
Yeah.
And then the White Sox before that, I don't remember if Willie Horton played for the White Sox or played for a Tigers affiliate that came there and played the White Sox.
But that's the fun part sometimes too, going to watch the opposing team, some of those named players in there, how they maybe turn out later on.
I used to
like
go
you said.
chase foul balls because they would give you 50 cents for every one you brought back
A lot of
in.
money back then. A lot of money back then, 50 cents. Not bad at all.
We would run like crazy
Oh,
to catch
yeah.
those foul balls.
Because I see places these days, the kids, even nowadays, a few places here and there, they give a kid a quarter, or they give a kid, a blow pop. That's the big thing at this stadium here locally, at the Colt Baseball regional playoffs at Stoner White Stadium. The P man, if you get a loose baseball, foul baseball, bring it up, we'll give you a blow pop. I'm like, wow, this is a crazy time.
Okay.
Still a little crazy.
Even trade.
Yeah. Your job now as a judge, how busy does this keep you these days?
It's a full-time job, and district court judges, we cover 14 different courtrooms. And so, the challenge is to stay on top of the law and to keep your skills fresh and your knowledge up to date on 14 different types of law.
What kind of cases are you hearing in these situations? What kind of cases?
This week, we've had a couple of judges out sick. And so I've been in domestic court 2 days. I think I was in criminal court for another day. Domestic violence court. Tomorrow I'll be in criminal first appearance court.
And that keeps you going from like town to town sometimes too, right?
Well, just Greensboro or High Point.
You're lucky there then.
Yeah. Now, Superior Court judges like Judge Albright, they travel.
Right.
They travel.
What do you do for your exercise and pastimes and hobbies and things these days?
I don't run anymore. I walk a lot. I still lift weights some. And I've got a decent bike that I ride. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. But I get in 4 or 5, at least 45-minute workouts a week. So
that's pretty good, yeah.
I'm putting on weight. I don't know where it's coming from, but
one time you were slimmed down a lot back in your early attorney days. You were playing basketball. You slimmed down because you didn't look like the football offensive lineman we had seen at Virginia back in the day.
Yeah, I've gained, I think, 40 pounds since then, and I'm not sure how it happened. I'm trying to take it off because.
What do you like about living in Greensboro, living in this town here? What makes this a good place to live?
I grew up in Lynchburg, and it's fairly small, and it's real conservative. And something about what I saw here just appealed to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it is exactly.
You've been here how many years now?
I came here in 1986 to go to graduate school, and I left for maybe 2 years after that, and I came back, and I've been here ever since. And one of my brothers, he ended up living here also. My first wife, she came down from Maryland with me, stayed here. So my daughter stayed here. So I've got kids here, grandkids. And
grandkids too?
Yeah.
Well, you're doing
4 now, and this is my home.
This is it.
And I love Greensboro. I really
you ever get back
do.
up to Lynchburg, looked them over any?
Yeah, I was just up there over the weekend. My niece got married in Charlottesville.
Well, Lynchburg has grown a bit, hasn't it?
Yes. And you know where it's growing?
Yeah, out near the college.
Yes.
It's crazy out there. You come into town,
Yes.
this is unreal.
That is where it's growing, 29.
Right around that bottom of that hill there. Wow.
They've really built something there. You know, Jerry used to talk about that when I would go to the church, and it was dream-like, we thought.
Oh, yeah.
But he really did do it.
I'll tell you some interesting story. I was standing on top of that mountain in March of 1977 when I was in college there. We're standing on that mountain, and that's the day he kind of declared, I want this mountain. It was, my reference always call it the $50 dairy barn in the $1 billion campus. They had a dairy barn, an old broken down dairy barn. Probably the property tax value was about $50 in that dairy barn on top of that mountain. Now it's a $1 billion campus.
I used to go to the mountain when it was owned by a guy named Dan Candler.
Candler's Mountain, yeah.
And my dad knew him, and he had like a little retreat out there.
Yeah.
And we would go out there and, swim and play and stuff like that.
Candler's Mountain Road.
Yes.
That's what it is, yeah.
I grew up, I can see the mountain from my mom's house.
Wow.
We were in Fort Hill off Radcliffe Avenue.
Fort Hill, yeah. Fort Hill Avenue. Remember it well.
Yeah.
And you think about that mountain, too. I never realized we stood up there back in the early days. You look around, there's probably about 50, 60 acres. There's about 1,000 acres around there. It's huge.
They've developed it nicely, and the school is, nationwide famous.
They made some history here. They had an attorney there, too, an attorney who was actually the president of the college one time, Mr. Falwell Jr., Jerry Falwell Jr.
Jerry and I were in youth group together.
Wow.
Yeah, we're about the same age.
How crazy is that?
I didn't know Jonathan very well. I knew Jerry Jr. fairly well.
Some good stuff. Jerry Jr. became a good attorney and then became president of the university and was kind of ousted in an interesting situation. Interesting case.
It was.
Oh, I read a lot about that. Some interesting stuff
too.
went on there. It just all the background on that stuff, it just drive you crazy looking it all up. And now he's on a 500-acre farming place called Good, Virginia, which I don't know exactly where that's at. Good, Virginia.
Is it Good?
Good or Good, yeah.
G-O-D-E, other side of Richmond?
Must be, yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. He's got a 500-acre farm there.
Well, I guess he walked away with some.
Yeah, he did. I think he got a pretty good settlement, I think, in the end.
I hate to see families fall apart over money.
Love to see them get back together one day. Yeah, let's see that family get back together one day.
I suspect they will.
They'll
put bygones will be bygones.
Yeah, they'll have to in the end, you would think. You can't let that go on forever. So what are some of your goals right now as a judge? What do you want to see happen around here, this town, this area? How you want to leave your lasting your impact?
I see things that I don't like and that hurt my heart to see them. But as a judge, I focus on the case right in front of me and the need for fairness and the need to get it right. And if you can do that much, it's probably been a good day.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. We have a fairly large backlog on cases, and Sometimes, you'll have a case and it looks like you're going to run. You could run way over and stay to court 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and there's enough there that could happen every day.
Yeah.
And I won't do it. My position has been, if the legislature wants to have night court, then I'll let them make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to decide to keep bailiffs and court clerks and everybody guessing what time they'll get off.
Right.
And so that's been my position on that. And it just sort of reflects what's important to me is the case that's in front of me. And that's enough of a challenge. And to get it right, to get the law right, to interpret the facts right, and to let everybody walk away with justice. And if I can do that on whatever's in front of me, I don't know. I don't know that I can save the world, but I think I can.
You can help.
Do my job and do it well for what's right in front of me. And who knows, maybe over time that adds up.
A lot of research and background, a lot of checking on that too, isn't there?
Internet's nice for that.
Yeah.
There's University of North Carolina has a wonderful resource. It's called the School of Government. And you run across an issue that you don't know by heart, or maybe you just want to check, UNC, SOG, and then the name of your topic, and almost immediately you have articles, you have summaries of cases. It's wonderful. Wonderful. It's a great resource. I can't imagine if there are states that don't have a school of government. I can't imagine why. It's just marvelous.
How many more years do you see yourself doing this? How long do you continue?
Well, I start my third term, I guess. Well, second full term, January 1, and that'll go through the end of 28, and I'll have to decide before then whether I'm going to run for another term. I don't see a reason not to.
Yeah. As long as you're feeling good, keep it going.
Yeah, I do. I'm 64, and I feel fine, and I feel appreciated. And, I don't fish.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you play golf?
No.
So yeah,
see these kids, and I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
I was a decent athlete. I played golf a fair amount for about 3 or 4 years. I never broke 100, and I decided it was not the game for me.
Right, exactly.
I think most of my friends would have said, this is not the game for you. So.
Well, Brian Tomlin, it's been great to have you on
board.
board.
For having me
and
over
again,
here.
Your thoughts on NIL, you think it's going to go which direction?
I don't know. I don't have a strong position either way. And I like to think that the people who are in charge of this sort of thing, as to whether it happens or whether it doesn't, whatever decision they make, it will be for good reasons. I trust typically it's going to be for good reason. You remember when freshmen couldn't play?
Oh yeah,
college sports.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was considered a pretty radical decision at the time.
Yeah.
And now, it's commonplace.
Exactly.
And now we don't have great athletes who are ready at age 18 to come out there and play. We don't have them having to wait a year. So, this may end up being something that's viewed like that, like, wow, can't believe we didn't do it sooner. I don't know.
It's a lot of
I don't know.
A lot of different directions it could take.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, again, thank you so much.
Sure.
Keep up the good work. We'll see you somewhere around the court. I don't want to see
when can I see your show?
This will be available when, Don?
Tomorrow after lunch.
Tomorrow after lunch.
Where?
GreensboroSports.com.
All right.
Yep. GreensboroSports.com. We're on Greensboro Sports Radio right now doing the audio. The video will be connected with the audio. Be at GreensboroSports.com
Thank
tomorrow.
you guys for having me on.
Good to
I
have
really
you on board.
appreciate it.
Always good to see you. And you're connected with Jan Pritchett, Kenny Free, those guys from the past.
I remember your shot, man.
Oh, yeah, that outside shot.
You would sneak around, then you're open, and boom.
Yeah. You're a basketball man. You remember things like that.
Yes.
And the LCA thing, interesting stories there, too. Man, there was a lot of buses around town. Jerry Falwell had a lot of buses,
Oh, my
didn't he?
God. Yes, and, we were poor, and most of the social outlets we had, I was in the Awanas.
Oh, Awanas was huge.
And
yeah.
now you can remember these guys, Ed Gomes.
Oh, very well, basketball man.
He
yeah.
was my Awana counselor.
Yeah.
And Willard
DeShazer, Gator.
Yes.
From Danville, Virginia.
Yes.
Gator DeShazer. Yeah. I remember that. And he had a younger brother, too. His younger brother was a guard. He played.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I went to
Deshaun DeShazer, yeah.
I went to Treasure Island every summer.
Oh my God.
Every summer.
Treasure Island. I remember that was the bridge.
Every summer. It was free.
When we were
It was free.
when we were freshmen in college, you lived on Treasure Island, and you had
I remember that.
when they had a buses to take you to school and stuff. So when the bus came along and picked you up, you get to the bridge, you had to get off the bus, walk across the bridge to get back because the bridge was
given.
considered unsafe. Right. They were doing. The guys would be out there welding that day during working on the bridge.
I remember walking across that bridge.
It's good stuff. A lot of great memories.
That's where I learned to swim down there. You had to memorize the Bible verse to get your swimming privileges that day. So I learned how to swim at who did I know? Raymond Bucklew and Mike McDaniel were my summer counselors. And they were from Louisiana. But kids came from all over to come up there and go to Liberty. Yeah.
And we had like this, our coach was John Cartwright. He kept things rolling, and all those great coaches. Yeah. Brian, excellent work. Enjoyed it. We'll do it again.
That'll be good.
Thank you, sir.